Today is not an ordinary day. Because behind the scenes of your life, the high-security doors have been opened one by one, the walls have been torn down, and the real faces behind the curtain have finally been revealed. All that secrecy, all that control, all that surveillance, all of it was prepared just to get to know you, to reach you and shake your hand. Those who ignored you before are now bowing to you with respect. While your name was whispered in those high-security rooms, a moment came when your value, courage, and faith were seen by everyone. You are no longer just being watched and followed. Now there are powerful people who appreciate you, who want to be by your side, who are ready to shake your hand. Today a new page is turning because you are not ordinary. Your presence is now too bright and influential for anyone to hide. Now it is your turn. That hand is reaching out. Write 333 in the comments. Now don't just be a bystander, be part of the story. With your support, we will become a giant family of 5,000 people. Subscribe now, turn on notifications, and join us. Because those who want to walk with you are ready. Sometimes, life feels like standing at the edge of a great river, the morning fog clinging low, water moving silent and unseen beneath the surface. You may not know how wide the river runs or where it finally meets the sea, but something inside says, step out. The current will carry you. That's the mystery and the blessing of being chosen. It's a quiet trust, a belief that even when you can't see the far shore, you're being led by a wisdom greater than your own. In a world that chases spotlights and celebrates noise, your calling was shaped in those sacred hushes before dawn, when nobody but the Lord heard the prayers you whispered beneath your breath. The crowd didn't gather when you started walking. No confetti fell, no bands played, and most folks never noticed you'd begun a journey at all. But heaven was watching. The stars themselves bore witness as you took that first trembling step, not knowing where it would lead, but knowing deep down you couldn't stay where you were. Every person called for a greater purpose will face seasons where the sky is cloudy and the road vanishes into fog. Maybe you felt that, nights when answers didn't come, mornings when you wondered if you'd made a wrong turn. There were times you felt like a solitary traveler, walking a path others called foolish or lonely. Yet, like a seed planted in the dark, something was growing that nobody could see. The world might have called it obscurity, but God called it preparation. You were never truly alone on that path. Each obstacle you faced, every closed door, every doubt that flickered across your mind, those were invitations, not endings. They were like stones laid out in a riverbed, guiding your feet to the other side. You didn't know it then, but every silent prayer, every small act of courage, was sending ripples out, touching lives and hearts you'd never meet. The purpose stitched into your soul wasn't just for your own journey. It was the spark for a fire that would burn long after your own footprints faded. There is a pulse in you that can't be silenced by disappointment or delay. Maybe folks around you couldn't see it. Maybe they called you stubborn, or said you were chasing dreams too big for your circumstances. But chosen ones know, God doesn't give a vision without a way through the wilderness. When the world tried to hush your calling, that inner drumbeat only grew stronger. When doors slammed shut, when your plans fell through, when people doubted your worth, the Spirit gently said, keep going. There's more ahead than you can imagine. Faith, courage, betrayal, redemption. Subscribe for the stories that changed the world. Chosen one, every time you wondered if you'd missed your chance, heaven was actually rerouting you for a bigger blessing. Every season of confusion was a classroom. Every trial was the shaping of a vessel designed to hold a greater glory. Your detours weren't delays, they were divine redirections. You never traveled alone, not for a single moment. Behind the curtain, angels kept watch. Ancestors whispered encouragement. The Lord Himself walked beside you, steadying your pace when your knees trembled and your spirit waned. Sometimes, you look back and wonder how you made it this far. You think about the disappointments, the friends who left, the times you lost more than you thought you could bear. But like a river stone polished by years of unseen currents, you have been shaped by grace. Hard edges worn smooth, doubts washed away, faith settling deeper with every flood. What the enemy meant to stop you only made you more certain of the call on your life. Let this be your reminder, rivers do not carve canyons overnight. Destiny isn't delivered in a day. God works in seasons, And what he starts, he finishes. Your quiet faithfulness, those unseen steps, are the very foundation on which your legacy is being built. Others may run ahead, chasing applause or seeking shortcuts, but you know the way of the chosen is steady, enduring, full of small miracles and hidden strength. You are the torchbearer for those who come behind you. The choices you make in secret, the prayers you pray in the stillness, the love you show when no one's watching, these things matter more than you know. The world measures success in moments, but heaven measures it in generations. The legacy you're building isn't just for you. It's for every soul who will ever draw courage from your story, every heart that will be healed by your perseverance. So keep your eyes on that invisible horizon. Let the compass of your spirit guide you, even when the clouds refuse to part. Remember that faith is not seeing the whole path, but trusting that every step has been marked by a loving hand. God's timing is always perfect, and what He has planted in you will bear fruit in due season. Chosen one, your story isn't finished. The journey that began in quiet will end in celebration. The pain that tried to bury you has become the soil for your greatest bloom. Walk on, even when the trail seems lost. Speak life over your destiny, even when you feel weary. Rest in the promise that every tear has watered a harvest you haven't seen yet. And know this, you are not wandering aimlessly. You are being led by the King Himself, step by faithful step, toward a future where your life will shine like a beacon for those still searching in the dark. Let the river carry you, let the Spirit strengthen you, and never doubt that you were born for such a time as this. Sometimes purpose arrives like a seed hidden inside a stone, so unassuming you'd almost overlook its power to break open mountains over time. At first glance, you might think you were handed a puzzle with missing pieces, left trying to fit the shape of your life into a pattern no one else can see. Yet, as each new challenge arrives, a setback here, a longing there, you begin to realize these aren't stumbling blocks. They're stepping stones, quietly shaping the foundation under your feet. What looked like detours were, in truth, instructions from a higher hand, guiding you to dig deep until you struck water that could nourish generations. You see, in the world's eyes, progress is a straight road marked with signs and spotlights. But for those called to something greater, the way forward winds through shadows, sometimes even doubling back through old pain. There are nights when you lie awake, a yearning in your chest you can't explain, a holy ache that refuses to quiet, no matter how much you try to settle for less. That ache is proof you were made for more than just comfort. You were created to be a wellspring, a life giver, a source of warmth for souls you'll never meet, for destinies you'll never see bloom with your own eyes. Think about the way a tree grows. Long before its branches stretch toward the sun, its roots burrow through rock and soil, seeking what lies beneath. No one stands in applause when a root pushes through the dark. No one writes headlines about seeds cracking open underground. But without that hidden work, no fruit will ever hang from those branches. You, beloved, have been chosen for the same kind of underground building. While others chase applause and quick results, you've been called to lay foundations that last, to plant in seasons where nothing seems to be growing, and to trust that every act of faith, no matter how small, is part of a divine architecture much larger than your own comfort. Sometimes, the pressure to give up is strongest right before the breakthrough. The world may tell you that if it's hard, it must not be meant for you. But the chosen know different. The chosen know that when resistance rises, so does their resolve. Every hardship has been an invitation not to shrink, but to expand, stretching your spirit, deepening your roots, and preparing you to carry blessings so abundant, you'll never be able to count them all. When the storm winds howl, they're not sent to uproot you but to prune away what can't go with you into your next season. It's easy to forget, in the thick of disappointment, that you're part of a tapestry only heaven sees whole. Your story is a single patch in a quilt that wraps around generations. Ancestors who prayed for you without knowing your name, descendants who will inherit the legacy of your endurance. Every act of kindness, every silent prayer, every time you held the line when it would have been easier to quit, it's all been stitched into something far greater than one person's comfort. You are a keeper of warmth for cold nights you'll never witness, a restorer of hope for people you'll never meet. Even when you feel invisible, your impact is anything but small. Purpose doesn't require a platform to be powerful. The world may overlook your labor, but heaven counts every brick, every tear, every moment you chose love over bitterness, faith over fear. And when you wonder if it's all worth it, remember this: no storm can wash away what's built beneath the surface. The deeper your foundation, the higher your future rises. What God plants in secret, He reveals in glory. Some days, the longing in your soul is a reminder from above that you're being invited to rise higher, to see wider, to embrace the fullness of a calling that outlives your own timeline. When the puzzle doesn't seem to fit, that's not a failure. It's an invitation to trust the one holding all the pieces. There's a master plan unfolding through your life, woven with threads of joy and suffering, triumph and trial. And just as a quilt is meant to cover more than the one who stitched it, so your life is meant to bless more than just yourself. You might not see it now, but you are the answer to someone else's silent prayer. Your courage is clearing a path for those coming after you. The comfort you've built in your hidden seasons will one day shelter those facing storms of their own. Every challenge that tried to undo you has, instead, equipped you to carry more hope, more wisdom, more love into the world. So the next time the longing returns, or the setbacks seem too much to bear, lift your eyes. See the story written not just in your days, but in the legacy you're building. Trust that the divine quilt maker wastes nothing, not a single trial, not a single tear. In your endurance, generations will find their warmth. In your willingness to dig deep, countless souls will find shelter from the cold. And one day, you'll see how every puzzle piece, every moment that didn't make sense, was a necessary part of a masterpiece that could only be made through you. And in those quiet hours when the world is asleep and your heart aches with questions, let yourself rest in the knowledge that nothing is ever lost in the hands of the divine. You were chosen for a purpose that spans far beyond your lifetime. And when the storms rage, know that beneath the surface, the foundation is holding, strong, unbreakable, and built to last for ages to come. Life sometimes shapes a soul the way rivers shape canyons. Slowly, persistently, in silence and in flood. There are seasons when you found yourself standing in storms that felt endless, winds tearing at what you thought you'd built to last. Maybe you even wondered why you stayed planted when so many others seemed to break or drift away, their roots never holding. What you didn't see in those moments was how, deep beneath the surface, a quiet miracle was taking place. You were becoming a living well, each hardship not a curse, but a deepening. When the temptation to walk away seemed greatest, when the ache in your bones whispered that surrender would be easier, that was the very moment a new layer of faith was poured around your foundation. You didn't just survive, you became a keeper of the waters, a vessel for wisdom and strength that can't be taken by drought or flood. The world saw only the scars, but heaven saw aquifers, hidden rivers running strong where others had nothing but dust. There's an old image that fits here, simple as a country sunrise. Imagine a clay jar left out in the sun. At first, every crack looks like failure. But in the hands of the potter, each fracture becomes a channel for light, proof that what's been through the fire can shine from within. Your journey has made you a vessel that glows with experience. Every crack tells a story, not of defeat, but of endurance, proof that you held on when the night was long and the odds looked impossible. So many times you might have believed the story was ending right at the place where the pressure mounted. But chosen ones, God writes the most beautiful chapters after the storm. The deepest roots only show their worth when the winds come for the tall trees. Every night you didn't quit, you were quietly being fortified for the next dawn. Each morning you rose, though tired, you carried the dew of hope on your shoulders, water for the day ahead, strength for anyone who'd walk that way after you. Your trials never diminished you, they expanded you. Just as the trunk of an ancient oak widens with every year of struggle and drought, so your spirit has grown wide enough to shelter others. You didn't even realize how your scars became signposts, each one marking the boundary between despair and deliverance. Every wound was healed with a wisdom you couldn't have bought, a lesson that came only through the journey. If you stop for a moment and look back, you'll see it wasn't just about making it through the night. It was about building a map for others who'd one day face the same darkness. The signposts you bear are silent sermons. They tell of battles fought in silence, victories won with tears and prayer, and nights when faith alone carried you across the thresholds of despair. In the daylight, folks may never notice the roots beneath the earth, but when storms rage, it's those roots that keep the tree standing tall. Some might say your strength came naturally, but you know better. Each time you made the choice to stand, heaven was investing more in you. The roots went deeper, the wells grew wider. You are not just a survivor of storms. You are the harvest after the drought, the spring that bubbles up in the desert, a testament to what can be made from brokenness. Your story is not the tale of one who merely withstood. It is the anthem of someone who was remade, restored, and set aside for a purpose beyond what eyes can see. Don't be fooled by the scars or the silence of certain seasons. Every line on your heart, every furrow on your brow, is a record of grace multiplied. While others gave up, you gained access to places in the spirit where only the deeply rooted can dwell. You are the evidence that endurance is holy, that what tries to bury the chosen one only makes them more fruitful. Those who left you in winter never saw the blossom that was coming in spring. Let others count your failures. Let God count your nights of faithfulness. For it is in those midnight hours, in the wrestling and the waiting, that you received a harvest no thief can steal. You have become a storehouse for hope, a shelter for wanderers, a guidepost for generations yet to come. The wisdom you carry now, the strength you pour out without even realizing, is water from the deep wells you built in the wilderness. History's greatest dramas began here. Subscribe to see how it all unfolds. So keep standing even when the winds rise. The deeper the roots, the higher the branches will reach. And when the world looks for answers, they'll find them written in the signposts of your scars, in the songs that only those who have survived the night can sing. You have become the living promise that what endures is never lost, that in the hands of the Creator, every broken thing becomes a wellspring for new life, a beacon for the lost, a reminder that hope is never wasted. Let your story be the invitation for others to hold on one more night, to trust that what looks like the end is only the start of a new chapter. For the chosen, the journey is never finished by the darkness. It is always crowned by the sunrise, and the deepest roots are the ones that outlast every storm. Sometimes life feels like walking through a forest before sunrise. There's no map, just the quiet certainty that each careful step is shaping a trail for someone who'll come behind. You might not see the bridge you're building, but every time you reach out in faith, when no one else is watching, a path is unfolding beneath you, sturdy enough to hold the weight of more than just your own story. Imagine a farmer sowing seeds in fields still covered in morning mist. He works alone, his hands rough from tilling ground others left barren. No crowd cheers for the seed dropped into the earth. No one applauds the patience that keeps him going season after silent season. Yet, with each humble gesture, a kind word where anger was deserved, a prayer sent upward on a heavy night, a choice to forgive rather than retaliate, a crop is quietly taking root. Years from now, the harvest will feed families who never saw the labor or felt the ache in his hands. You've been laying down stepping stones across waters that most people are too afraid to wade into. With every unseen act of courage, with every small kindness, you've paved a way where others saw only impassable current. Every moment you decided to show mercy instead of keeping score, you placed another stone in the river. Others may never know the cold you endured, but one day they'll find safe passage over the very waters that once threatened to sweep you away. This journey isn't about recognition or applause, it's about legacy. Your prayers, the ones whispered into pillows soaked with midnight tears, have watered the roots of trees that will shade those yet to be born. The sacrifices you made in silence, choosing peace when chaos called your name, have become the beams and rafters of a shelter you may never step inside, but others will call home. The love you offered when you had little left to give is the mortar that binds together stones into a fortress for generations. In the grand tapestry of purpose, your thread may seem ordinary, lost in the pattern, but it holds together colors and shapes that would unravel without your faithfulness. You've become the secret keeper of hope, the one who carried light through the valley so others could find their way when the sun went down. When the world thought you were stalled, you were actually planting pillars in unseen soil, setting foundations for victories that will echo far beyond your own name. Each leap of faith has been like planting a flag atop a mountain most folks never dared climb. Every gentle answer, every silent blessing you spoke over someone who never even knew your name, becomes a landmark for the lost. In a world obsessed with big wins and loud applause, you've built something indestructible out of quiet tenacity. A legacy measured not in headlines, but in healed hearts and open doors. Think of it like a lighthouse on a rocky shore, standing tall through the storms, its light reaching mariners you'll never meet. Your endurance is the oil in that lamp, each act of integrity another drop that keeps the flame alive on the darkest nights. You may never see the ships that change course because of your glow, but they'll find safe harbor all the same. Chosen one, your reward won't always come with fanfare. Sometimes, the greatest victories are the ones that ripple through time, changing lives you'll never see. That child who finds comfort under a roof built from your sacrifice. That weary traveler who finds rest on a road paved by your persistence. Those are the fruits of endurance, the quiet harvests of the Spirit. When the storms raged and it felt like you were standing alone, heaven saw every moment. The ground you gained in faith will one day become the high ground others seek when the floods come. The choices you made to keep your heart open, to trust again, to give again, to stand again, built stairways for souls who thought they'd never rise above their circumstances. You may not have noticed the architecture changing beneath your feet, but each yes to what's right, each no to what would have made you bitter, became the blueprints for a legacy no one can erase. Even when you felt empty, your hands built abundance. Even when you felt tired, your hope became a lantern for those trapped in the night. Quietly, almost without your knowing, you became a builder of bridges, a planter of orchards, a guardian of peace. And as the years unfold, you'll find that the house you built, the one with walls made of patience, with a roof of forgiveness and doors that never close to the lost, will stand longer than any monument of stone or steel. The fruit of your endurance will become the feast at tables you'll never sit at, stories whispered around fires you never lit, hope blooming in gardens you never walked. For this is how the chosen are rewarded, not always with riches or recognition, but with the knowledge that their struggle wasn't wasted, that their journey became the map for someone else's miracle. The day will come when others shelter from the storm, warmed by a fire built from the wood of your perseverance. And heaven, seeing the work of your hands, will whisper, "Well done, faithful one. You've turned every cold night into a dawn for someone else. Keep walking. Keep building. The path you pave in secret will one day shine brighter than gold in the open." Every sacrifice is a seed. Every prayer is a stone in the foundation of a legacy built for more than one lifetime. Let the fruit of your endurance sweeten the world long after your own journey is done. There are moments in life when you become the lighthouse in the fog, a single light burning steadfast while the waves crash all around, guiding ships safely home that you will never meet. Sometimes you don't even know how much your steady glow means to those still drifting in the storm. Your struggles have made you into a beacon, shining hope through the windows of your soul, calling out quietly to the weary, "There is safe harbor on the other side of this night." What you have endured was never only about your own story. Like a pebble dropped into a pond, the effect of your endurance travels outwards in rings, ripples that touch shores far beyond what your eyes can see. The prayers you whispered in the dark when nobody else was listening? They've become a song in the morning for somebody who has yet to find their voice. The nights you pressed on, not knowing if morning would ever come, became the proof for someone else that the sun still rises, no matter how long the night. Pain, when transformed by faith, becomes a remedy the world cannot buy and no storm can wash away. The very ache that once hollowed your chest now becomes the wellspring of compassion and wisdom for others. Where you walked through fire and found your soul still intact, you became a healer, able to bind up wounds in others because you know exactly what it feels like to be broken and still breathe. That's not just survival, that's divine medicine, crafted in the quiet laboratory of a trusting heart. What looked like a personal trial was actually the foundation for a harvest of deliverance. The quiet victories, won without applause, turned your name into a password for breakthrough in generations to come. Your choices, those quiet, trembling yes moments when nobody saw the cost, have become seeds sown in the invisible field of eternity. Each act of obedience may have cost you pride, comfort, or even your reputation in the eyes of the world, but in the eyes of heaven, those yes ring out like bells on the wind. You've become a torchbearer, running ahead in the dark so others can follow when the way opens up. There are lives out there, families you'll never meet, children not yet born, hearts burdened and battered, that are depending on your perseverance to blaze a trail. Just as a farmer sows in faith, not knowing which seed will break through the earth, so you have sown with tears, and the coming harvest will be a field of joy for more people than you can count. Your persistence isn't just your own triumph, it's a key unlocking chains for others. Think of it as a river running underground. You may not see the water flowing beneath the surface, but when a drought hits, roots buried deep will find that stream and blossom anyway. The fruit that comes forth in future seasons, restored homes, healed bodies, reconciled friendships, will owe their life to the persistence that you carried when it would have been easier to give up. Sometimes the medicine that heals an entire community starts with one soul choosing not to quit. The hope that a city holds onto can be traced back to the night when one person, sitting in the dark, whispered, "I'll keep going." You are that person. Your willingness to stand your ground when the wind howled, your decision to keep the lamp burning in your window when the world told you to shut it off, these are the acts that ripple out, unseen but unstoppable. When you look back, you'll see that every valley you crossed was a classroom, every wound a lesson in mercy, every unanswered question a deepening of trust. Your scars have become signatures, signing your name onto stories of breakthrough for others. The power of your journey is not in how loudly you shouted, but in how steadfastly you stood. Heaven measured your faithfulness not by noise, but by your unwavering commitment to keep going. The kingdom of God counts victories differently than the world does. While others chase applause, you became a master builder, laying bricks of faith in silence. One day, people you never met will take shelter in the spiritual house you built by refusing to abandon your post. You are living proof that a quiet yes can shake the earth. Even now, there are souls looking for a flicker of hope. They watch for a light in the window, a sign that someone made it through. You are that light, burning steady in a world of blown fuses and broken bulbs. Your endurance writes new blueprints for families, creates new patterns for children, sends out invitations to freedom for generations still waiting to wake up. Don't let the silence fool you. Every step of faith is recorded in the archives of heaven. Every battle you fought, every tear you cried, every victory won in secret is a building block in the bridge that will carry countless others into the light. The legacy you are building is not one of noise, but of resonance, a quiet song that never stops playing long after you've left the room. So, keep your light burning. Keep saying yes, even when it costs you comfort or applause. Know that heaven is watching, and lives are being changed by the strength of your persistence. Your legacy isn't just about what you accomplished, but about the countless stories of hope, healing, and breakthrough that will one day trace their beginning back to the light you chose to keep shining when the night was at its darkest. Sometimes the journey of life is less like a race and more like carrying a lantern through a long stretch of darkness. The light you hold is small, maybe, but it's yours to guard, especially when cold winds blow and the shadows grow long. You didn't sign up for a sprint or a standing ovation. Your path has been about learning how to stand steady when there's no audience at all, how to keep that flame burning when the world turns silent and the road gets lonely. Unravel mysteries, one Bible story at a time. Subscribe today. This story has never been about being the fastest out of the gate. It's been about how you learned to walk slow when your knees were weak and your heart heavy, about finding a pace that matched the heartbeat of heaven, not the rush of the crowd. In those times when the cheers faded and the friendly faces thinned, something deeper was being built, something that can't be measured in applause or likes. The truth is, nobody handed you a rule book or a ready-made plan. The real wisdom you carry today wasn't preached down from a stage or stamped onto a diploma. No, it was born in the quiet between storms, in the hush after a slammed door, in the empty rooms where you sat with nothing but your own thoughts and the whisper of a promise still alive in your spirit. It was in those cracks and crevices, those forgotten places, that hope set down its roots. Each time the wind tried to blow your fire out, You cupped your hands around it, leaned in close, and refused to let it die. That's what endurance looks like in real life. Not a grand gesture or a public shout, but 1,000 small moments of not letting go, of choosing to believe in tomorrow even when today looks bleak. You found out the hard way that strength isn't always loud. Sometimes it's just the soft echo of faith that keeps beating in your chest, a quiet assurance that says, I may not know what's next, but I know I'm not done yet. You learned how to draw warmth from your memories of God's faithfulness, how to let every disappointment water the soil for a future harvest you couldn't yet see. There are young hearts watching how you handle the shadows, how you keep moving when the soundtrack fades and the lights go out. Your life is their blueprint for perseverance. Every boundary you set, every injustice you refuse to let define you, has become a road sign for others who will one day face the same crossroads. The blessings you pass forward, peace, compassion, vision, will flow long after your own story finds its final chapter. You were never chosen just for the sake of being set apart. You were given a role in a much larger story, one that carries the hopes of ancestors, the dreams of children yet to come, the prayers of neighbors you may never meet. This purpose can't be contained within one name or one lifetime. It's a torch meant to be carried forward, igniting flames in places you'll never set foot. The finishing is more powerful than the beginning. Many can start with excitement, but only those anchored in conviction and courage can see things through when the winds shift and support disappears. The final stretch is where legacies are forged, where the true meaning of the struggle becomes clear. It's not the applause at the start that matters, but the steady resolve that carries you across the line when nobody's watching. This is where faith meets fulfillment, where your scars become the foundation for a new world. What waits at the end isn't just a reward for your tenacity, it's a signal flare to everyone still fighting in the shadows that victory is possible. Your endurance is opening gates for others, changing the climate of hearts and homes that need hope more than ever. The steps you finish today will be the steps that generations climb tomorrow. Now, as the dawn breaks over a landscape forever changed by your journey, let the world see what is possible when a soul refuses to settle. You didn't survive just to survive. You survived to show others that life can be built from broken places, and that purpose never goes to waste when it's surrendered to something greater. So walk on, even if the road bends and the markers disappear. The work you complete is never lost. It circles back as blessing, as strength, as inheritance for every soul who needed your story as a lighthouse. This is the legacy of the faithful, carried not in the headlines, but in the quiet, powerful echo of a life well finished.